It's back over to you.
All right, so let's skip past baby Clark Kent here and move forward in the presentation. All right, so a couple of just one quick thing. Someone was asking about the future sessions. The best way, Tim will be sending out emails, but I would also strongly recommend that to keep on top of future sessions and just anything that's new with Montessori Compass. You can like our Facebook page, some shameless self-promotion there, because that's where we go ahead and post a lot of that stuff, anything that new that's happening. So those Facebook users of the world, it's a real easy way to go ahead and stay on top of what's happening. And then to build on what Tim, his scientific poll here about the way that you folks are communicating with your parents and the whole idea that I think the goal, everyone would like to be able to communicate on a daily basis, but it seems like that's just not practical, or it's too time consuming, or you don't have the tools to do so. Montessori Compass, honestly, makes it very, very easy to communicate as often as you would like, whether that is once a day or once a week or every 2 days or how often you want to do it. Again, no one size fits all, but you can really achieve your goals pretty easily because a lot of this stuff can be set to be on automatic pilot, particularly with the activity reports, which we'll be talking about next week. So you'll have to stay tuned for that. But let's talk about some of the more kind of day-to-day aspects of the system and some of the different tools we have available. So we're going to start with messaging. Messaging is a lot like email. You can see I'm looking at our home screen here. I see my new or unread messages there on my left, and I see my upcoming events on the right. So I scroll on down and I see my inbox, and I can see that I have a couple of unread messages. I could filter there by viewing priority messages or sent or archived and so forth. You have the stars on the left-hand side. That works a lot like Gmail, where you can flag things as being priorities. If I want to compose a message, I click the Compose button, and then I'm presented with a list of recipients for the message. I'm going to give you a lot of different shortcuts here. So I can choose All School. If I'm a school administrator and I have a parent meeting, I can go ahead and choose All School, type in Parent Meeting. I have the ability to add an attachment if I would like. I type my message, and if I were to click Send, that's going to go ahead and send this message out to everybody. And one of the nice things about using Montessori Compass for this purpose is you don't have to worry about messages, emails that are getting spam blocked, or maybe your parents got a new job and their email address changed and they just forgot to tell you about it, or maybe it's just getting blocked, or maybe the parent gets 933 emails a day and it's just getting lost in the shuffle. I mean, I can think of I've had to abandon email addresses over the years just because the spam and unwanted stuff just gets unbearable. So, this is a guaranteed way to ensure that your messages are getting across. It is a centralized communication portal where parents are going to interact with the school. And when the parents want to interact with the school, they know where to go. They know where their messages are. They know where their calendar and everything else is. So you can choose to send it to the entire school. You can choose to send it to a classroom where only members of that classroom. You can multi-select classrooms. You can send it to individuals. I can send it to other staff members. I can send it to individual parents. And a nice shortcut is to, instead of sending it to the parent, maybe I have something important I want to share that's relevant about a child. If you know a parent very well and you only want to send a message just to this parent because you know her and it's only relevant to her, you can certainly do that. But a better option is actually to send it to the student's name. So by selecting the student's name as the recipient, now we're going to go ahead and send it to any parent or guardian that is attached to that student's profile. So if there's a mom and a dad and a stepmom and a grandma and the family cat and anyone else that's attached to this particular student, get everybody in there just as you want them, whether it's 2 people or 10 people. Whoever is attached as either a parent or guardian to this child is going to get the message. So that way, as a school, you're really kind of covering all your bases. You're making sure that you don't have to decide in the moment, oh, do I send this to mom or dad or whoever. You send it out to everybody, and the recipients then determine who replies or who takes action on whatever the issue of the day is. So that's a nice shortcut. And that's throughout. You're going to find once we move on to calendar and photos, this works identical, this concept of attaching recipients. On my screen right now, you'll notice on the right there's a link called Mail to All Recipients Email. So we recognize there's going to be times when maybe there's an emergency at the school. Maybe it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I have a parent meeting that's scheduled tonight, and we got to postpone it at the last minute. Something happened and we can't do the meeting. You can very easily get your emails out of the system here based upon the filter that's on the screen. So in the example that I'm showing you right now, maybe I have a meeting for just my primary classroom, and I need to notify everybody quickly. And if I send it out through Montessori Compass, they're going to get the message, but they may not log in until tonight or tomorrow, or there's no guarantee when they're going to log in and get the information. So I want to just send an email to them. I can click the Mail to Recipients All email, and then what that'll do is it'll open up my default email client. In this example, this is Gmail. And it's copying all those email addresses out of the system. Parents are able to update their email within Montessori Compass, and because the email address is their username to log in, you'll always have the up-to-date email, which is nice. And then it'll go ahead and you'll notice that all of those email addresses are in the BCC field, which is blind carbon copy. So that way the parents don't see each other's emails. So you're still maintaining privacy there. So now I can send out a message that says, hey, the parent meeting's closed tonight, and we're rescheduling for next Tuesday, and so that's going to go off to everybody via email. So that's another feature that you have available in here. Moving forward, let's take a look at the calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the calendar in my backpack, and this is going to display all of my upcoming events. I can view my future dates. I can view my past dates. I can narrow it down based upon participation. Maybe I just want to view school-wide events or classroom events or individual events, whatever the case is. I can filter this. I can copy recurring events. So if every other week there's a pizza Friday or a pizza lunch, I can copy that over and over again. I can click edit to change a date or change something. And of course I can delete. And on the home page, there's the upcoming events module, which will just list the next couple of events here. So it's kind of bold and kind of front and center to folks when they log in. There is an annual school calendar link there that they can click on. And if you click on the annual calendar link, it'll open up a list of all the upcoming events for the school. And they can click print, and you'll notice a PDF on the second half of the screen that they can go ahead and print out, and they can hang it up on the fridge and have that available to them. When I want to create an event, I click the Create Event button, and then I give my event a name. In this case, it's Back to School Night, and I can put an optional description in there. So come join us for an evening of celebrating and so forth. You pick your date. You choose a time, that's optional. And then again, the same thing, the recipients. In this case, I chose all school. So now it's one calendar. Everybody's looking at the same calendar, but we're making events viewable or non-viewable based on the permissions here set forth in the recipients. So in this case, I made the back to school night available to everybody. So whether you're a parent or a staff member, everybody gets this on their calendar. Everybody knows it's back to school night. That's an example of a school-wide event. If I were to choose a classroom name, it would only make that event viewable to members of that classroom. Again, staff members and parents associated with that classroom. If I have 4 classrooms at my school and I have 2 kids in 2 of the different classrooms, I will see events for those 2 classrooms, but not events that are not relevant to me in the other classrooms. And of course, I can also use this for individuals. If I'm a school administrator, I can put things on my own calendar. Maybe I have a school tour tomorrow, and I need to go ahead and post that, or I have a parent meeting tomorrow. If I'm a teacher, maybe I have a staff meeting, or any other sorts of meetings or events that you need to create. They can be private and viewable only by you by selecting your own name, or they could be available to any other individual or group or the entire school. This is how it looks on the calendar. You'll see below, I'm looking at a parent site right now. And now this school-wide event, Back to School Night, is available on Mary's calendar. And there is that's what what it looks like when it's expanded to include the event description. So you can make this all available to the parents. Moving forward, the second part of the calendar is the school days feature, and this is how you manage your time off. So any sort of holidays and spring break and snow days, if any sort of event happens and you need to go ahead and close your school, this is how you would do this. So I would create a new school day, give my school day a name, say Thanksgiving holiday. I can select the date range. It can be a single day. It could be a week or 2 weeks or however long you want it to be. And then you select school closed and click create. And two things are going to happen here. It's going to go ahead and number one, be posted to the calendar so everybody knows that the school's closed today. And then number two, it's going to disable record keeping. It basically freezes the record keeping, so you can't do attendance or record keeping on a day when the school is going to be closed. So that maintains the accuracy of your data. So you can't mark a student as absent on a day when it's a snow day or it's a Thanksgiving or something like that. This does work in the opposite direction. In the rare occurrence where you need to have an additional school day, where it says day type, I can click that and I can toggle on over to additional day, and it'll go ahead and open up the day, basically make a non-school day, like a Saturday. It would make that available to become a regularly scheduled school day. So if you had a series of blizzards over the course of a winter and you needed to make up some extra days on a Saturday or something, you would be able to do that as well. It's a rare occurrence, but the feature is available. And then you can see this is what it looks like to the parents. It's really important for your holidays and your time off that you want to schedule this in the beginning of the school year. You want to set up your back to school night and your holidays and your spring break and all of those sorts of time off as much as possible. Get that done, in advance of the school year. Plan it all in advance. That way it's on the calendar. All your record keeping is going to be set because we're not going to mark kids as being absent on those days. And, you can certainly make changes to it along the way, but it's a good idea to, and it's a good practice for parents because some parents are going to print off that PDF on the first day of school and stick to that calendar. And you want to kind of discourage that as much as possible. You want to remind them to log in to always get the up-to-date calendar in real time, but you're going to have parents that put it up on the fridge. So just keep that in mind. At the very least, get your holidays in there and your scheduled planned time off for things like your snow days and things like that when the days are closed. Obviously, that's going to be done on an as-needed basis, and the system is designed to be very, very nimble. So if I see a blizzard's coming through and I know school's going to be closed, I can certainly close it for tomorrow, and it works just the same as I did it on the first day of school. Moving forward. Here's another one of our cartoons here. Oh, I thought you said he was going to a Montessori. That's a Montessori, I believe. Montessori. All right. Tim, did you want to do any questions or do you want to keep going?
I think that everyone needs a break. And by the way, it takes a brave. Would you guys mute yourselves?
Yeah.
It takes a brave parent to send a child to a Montessori school. That's what every one of them says to me. So please get up, do some stretches, some sit-ups, some chin-ups, get a cup of coffee, do something. And while you're at it, I will open up another poll because, of course, we have polls. Hopefully you're all figuring out how to get the polls to work. So hang on. Here's the next one. This is what form of parent communication do you use? So we'll see what you folks come up with. Voting is coming in fast and furious. While the poll continues on, let me take a look at some of the questions. There were one or two that I thought was we ought to cover. Rob and Anita, I'm gonna throw two at you during this quick break. The first is, could an event only be available to staff and not to parents? And I assume what they mean is only visible on their calendars.
So anything that you, again, the messaging, the calendar, and the photos all work exactly the same in terms of tagging a recipient or a viewer. So if I'm in my calendar and I post an event just to myself, I tag just my own name. I'm a school administrator and I have a school tour next Thursday at 10 a.m. I can go ahead and put that event in there, and then only I am able to see that. It's completely private, only available to me. If I tag somebody else's name, it's only available just to them. So you have control over exactly what they're able to see here. So for example, I'm in the live application right now. Tim, is everyone able to see my screen? Or I think with the poll.
I think they're still seeing the poll.
Okay, all right. So I was going to show you that in practice, but I can do that after the poll is complete.
We're 71% have voted. We're getting pretty close to when we'll close it down. I really appreciate everybody's attentiveness and sticking with it. It's hard to do a 2-hour class, isn't it? But you will be able to get your continuing education units if you want them. So you can say to your colleagues and your head of school, if you're not head of school, that you did put in some serious time this summer in continuing education. All right, let me see if anyone else logs in and votes. It seems as if it's pretty stable. So I will go ahead and, no, somebody just did it. I hate to knock people off. I'll wait just another moment or two, see if anyone else is doing it. While I'm giving people that last chance, let me get to another question, Rob, that maybe you can answer. People are still asking questions about the ability to review what people have said to their parents. And I wonder if, Rob, you can speak to that in general. Can they somehow look and see the whole flow of communication that occurred?
Yes, in some cases. I think a visual would be better. So as soon as the poll's over, let me go ahead and show you some little tricks here to do some of that.
All right. Well, I think the polls are about to close. So, whoa, last minute rush. My goodness, 79%. Thank you all. I really appreciate it. 80%. We're doing better than the American electorate during one of our biannual elections. All right, polls are about to close. Here we go. It's closed. And I will share the results just so you can see. Almost everybody does parent workshops. Even more people have a printed newsletter. 87% do email. I should have asked whether your email is an email newsletter. Only 40% are currently doing Facebook, and 18% of you are doing blogs or forums. One of the things that, Rob, you often remind me is if you want your school to show up in search engines, blogs are a really good thing. People are referring to your website, and there's a lot of change and activity on the site, right?
Yes. And is everyone able to see my screen again, Tim?
They are now.
Okay, great. So yeah, I want to address a couple of points here, a couple of the questions, and to build upon what Tim is saying and about the recent poll here. So I guess while we're talking about the idea of blogs and so forth, so you know, anything that you can do on your school website, if you have a blog and you're putting just kind of general information about what's happening at the school and any sort of interesting events, and you know, certainly anything that's just educational or informative about Montessori is certainly a good thing. The more that you can do that, the more it's a common term is called Google Juice. So the more things that you can kind of feed Google, things for Google to crawl, certainly the better. Google likes websites that are regularly updated and have fresh and interesting content, you know, keyword-rich content. That sort of stuff is always a good thing. That is not the same thing as putting something on Facebook. We're talking about your actual school website, so yourschool.com. So that's kind of outside the scope of Montessori Compass, but that's just a general thing there. And somebody had asked about the idea of posting things. I want to just make sure you understand how the permissions work. So I'm in the live application here. I've been working off of a PowerPoint. So let me just go through the process of adding an event. And again, this works. The calendar, messaging, and photos all work the same. So if this is back to school night, I go ahead and I put back to school night. I can put an optional description in here if I would like. I choose my date. So let's say it's you know, next Tuesday, and I can put a time. We'll say it's at 7 p.m. And then here's my recipients. And you'll see that this all comes up based on whoever is in the school. We have shortcuts where we can have groups. So if this is something I want everybody to see, I can go ahead and just choose all school, and now everybody's going to see this on their calendar. If I want to delete that, I can, and I can narrow it down to just my lower elementary classroom. Now, only members of my lower elementary classroom can see this event. So if I'm a student of someone in the primary classroom, I don't see this. I do, as a parent, I do not see this particular event. I can choose my own name. I'm choosing Rob. And now this event is only available to me on my own private calendar. Nobody else in the entire school, unless they're logged in with my username and my private password, is able to see this event. So you really can use this as your centralized kind of day-to-day calendar for everybody. If I want to multi-select different members of my staff, so I want to choose Marlene, and I want to choose Lucy, and I want to choose Sydney. Now I've just chosen to add this event to 3 teacher calendars here, so they all see this particular event. And you can put whatever you want in the optional description in here to go ahead and give them more information about whatever the event is. So lots of flexibility in here to make available whatever you want. Messaging, again, works identical to what I just showed you. All school, classrooms, individuals. Now I mentioned if I know a parent very well, in this case we'll choose Mary. You see in parentheses it says parent. Mary is a parent. She's the mother of Maria. So if I know Mary very well and I want to send a message just to Mary, and it's only relevant to Mary, it's not that there was a serious incident with her child or anything like that, it's just catching up with her about something that's only relevant to her, message her directly. That's absolutely fine. I can message multiple parents. I'm choosing Mary and Margaret in this example. I can message as many of them as I would like to. But if I want to, if it's something that's, you know, of relative importance about a child, whatever the case is, by choosing the child's name, this is going to go out to all the parent and guardians here. So this is what we would recommend you doing for anything that's of any sort of importance about a child. The same is applied to calendar. So again, if there's a parent-teacher conference for this child, and it's on, you know, Thursday at 11 a.m., I post that to the child's name, and then all of the parent or guardians associated with her would then be able to see that event. Same goes for photo albums, which we haven't talked about yet. So that's how that works in terms of messaging other people. We had somebody ask about being able to view what your members of your staff might be sending out to the community. So again, with great power comes great responsibility, right? To use the cheesy superhero analogy here. You know, you have to set it up however you want in terms of communication center first off. So if I go over to my I'm logged in as a school administrator, I'm the head of school, I'm determining, how we're going to move forward with our communication in Montessori Compass. I need to make a decision as the head of school. Do I want my teachers to be able to message parents directly? Yes or no? If I choose no, then only school administrators are able to message parents. Now keep in mind, you have the ability to have other administrators as well. And you can make certain teachers be administrators as well. Those are all personal preferences. You know your staff. You know the right way to do that. So you need to determine what makes the most sense. Same goes for messaging parents to parents. Do you want them to be able to talk to each other? Yes or no? So if I go back into my messaging, if I give teachers the ability to message other parents, maybe I'm logged in as a teacher right now, and I want to go ahead and send a message out. I had an incident with Maria in the classroom today, and I need to notify her parents. I can make sure that it's just a policy at our school that anytime I send a message out, I have to CC, a school administrator, whether it's myself or one of the other administrators. Let's say I want Jasmine to manage all this. So we just make sure that Jasmine is CC'd on any outgoing message, so she will see everything that's going on. So that is an option that you would be able to do. If you are using the daily dashboard for communication, for parent communication, you can easily see things that are being sent out. This is what we're going to be talking about next week in our activity reports, so I don't want to delve too deeply into it, but the idea here is I can go through here, move my calendar around, and see what was sent out last week and whatever I want. I can also go into individual student profiles, and I can see there's a parent communication tab, and you can see by our example here, Maria certainly has a lot of really great days, which is very good. So these are all comments that were shared by the parent, shared by the teacher in the classroom to the parent. So you have this private note for just Maria, and then I could toggle on down the list, and I could look at Carly and Raphael and Ian and so forth. Also, I can go into my classroom. I'm a school administrator now, and I just want to check up to see what teachers have been sending out. I have the same thing at the classroom level. So the classroom really enjoyed the science lesson. That's a general observation that was shared via the daily dashboard. That went out to all 22 students in the classroom. I can view all of those as well. What some of the best practices that we have seen is that a school will say that, once a week you need to go ahead and you need to touch each parent once a week with a private anecdotal note. And you can verify that that is indeed taking place. You could check it every Friday to make sure that's occurring. Or maybe every day a classroom note goes out the door. We recognize that it's not going to be practical every single, 5 days a week to write a private or anecdotal note for 22 children each and every day. But you can spend a couple of moments at the end of the day writing a brief summary, maybe not quite as brief as the classroom had a great day, but you get the idea. It could be a one-liner, it could be 10 paragraphs. It's as much as you want it to be. But generally speaking, a brief summary of the classroom activity, you write that one time, and that can be automatically shared by a Montessori Compass to everybody. And then you would have a historical log of all those right here. So that's how, there's a couple of the different ways that a school administrator or whomever would be able to get a sense for some of the communication that's been going out the door. So I hope that answers your question. There was another comment, or I guess in relation to the poll that you sent out about the types of communication that people are using. So yeah, we've seen all different types of options, and there's a lot of wonderful tools out there. There's a lot of free tools. There's obviously the big things like Facebook or having a school blog or, email newsletters, Constant Contact and MailChimp, and some people obviously still send out printed newsletters or email PDFs or whatever you're doing. I get asked this all the time by people, and they say, well, should I keep sending out my constant contact emails, or should I keep using this photo service that we've been using, or should I keep sending out, printing off these, paper newsletters once a month, or whatever the case is? And my answer again is there's no one size fits all, and we have a variety of tools that, generally speaking, if you really look closely at the content that you're making available via these various tools, whatever medium you're using, whether it's a piece of paper that's stuffed in a child's backpack at the end of the day or the end of the week, or whether it's an email campaign, or whether it's whatever it is, if you take a good hard look at that content, and then you look at Montessori Compass and the suite of tools that we make available, you'll probably come to the conclusion that Montessori Compass can probably, if not entirely replace, it can replicate most of what you're doing. And I think there's a lot of benefits, really an intangible benefit to keeping everything under one roof, having one centralized location where the parents know that when they want to interact with the school, whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning on their smartphone, or they're sitting at the dinner table and a Montessori Compass update comes in, they know where to go ahead and get any information they need from the school. They're not rooting under the minivan seats to go ahead and find that piece of paper that came home last week. Or I can tell you, any piece of paper that ends up in our minivan is very likely to make it out of there alive, with having 4 kids and all. So if it makes it in the house, that's a really rare occurrence. And then if it ends up on the kitchen table, that's another death trap for pieces of paper. So again, having that centralized location is very, very valuable to your school community. So I think you'll find that you can use this as a supplement and keep doing everything that you're doing. It's not an all or nothing sort of a thing. You can choose a little bit of this and a little bit of that and do whatever you want to do, whatever you feel is going to help you to better connect with your parents. But I think you'll find if you look at the content that you're sending out, it's going to be what? Calendar updates and photos and information about upcoming events, and here's what happened last week, and here's what happened last month, and thanks for joining us for the fundraiser, and don't forget about this, and here's our holiday show. And you think about throughout the school year the types of things that you're disseminating via these various mediums. I would venture to guess that a lot of that could be done through Montessori Compass and could be done very, very well through Montessori Compass. So just keep that in mind. Next, I wanted to show you photos. So we'll work out a live application for this. So photos, much like messaging and calendar, can be shared and be as private as you want them to be. I think it goes without saying that parents love seeing photos of their kids in the classroom. And there's a variety of things that you can do with photos here. Obviously, showing images of cute children working in a classroom doing interesting things, that's really valuable. That makes your school look really interesting and helps parents to be better connected. You can go ahead and write captions about specifically what's going on. The parent is able to download the original file. If they click on that, we give you the original file, and the parent can right-click on this and then save it to their desktop if they wish. Going back into that slideshow here, you can use this for educational purposes. So again, to kind of showcase your Montessori classroom, your Montessori materials. Marcus works with the red and blue number rods. Again, you're showing a child in your classroom that's doing something interesting. And that's great in and of itself. But you also have the added benefit of educating them about Montessori. The Montessori bells introduce the child to pitch. Just any opportunity you get to both showcase your children doing interesting things in the classroom and educating parents about the benefits of a Montessori education is a good thing. This is one of my favorite photos that we have in this little collection here, and I don't care if this is my child or not. This is just a fabulous photo, and it's just really impressive. And if I'm a brand new parent with a new child in a Montessori classroom, and I see something like this by one of the older children, it's really something that's just really impressive. Like, I can't wait till my child's able to do this sort of a work here. So again, it showcases a very specific Montessori lesson or material. It showcases a child that has accomplished something, that really has something to show for it, kind of a real, kind of a tangible thing here. So these types of shots, you really want to promote that sort of stuff. And it just goes on down the list of, all the different things going on in the classroom. Now, if I want to go ahead and upload photos, I click Upload, and you have a couple different ways to do this. You can add files, onesie, twosie, if you want, by clicking this. But I would encourage you, if you're using a desktop or a laptop and you're using an up-to-date browser such as Chrome or Firefox, you can go ahead and drag and drop right into the browser. So if I have 48 photos sitting on a folder in my desktop right now, I can actually highlight all those, grab them, drag them into the browser right here, and click Upload, and it'll go ahead and it'll bring all those photos into the system at the same time. If you are taking a photo with your smartphone, an iPhone, an Android, whatever you're using, the mobile operating systems work a little bit differently. There's no drag and drop, but you can add them individually. So I can point and click with my iPhone, and I can go ahead and click the Add File, and it just works a little bit differently. Follow your directions on the screen, but it'll take you into your photo album, and then go ahead and you select the photo and so forth. But you can do this from a mobile device as well. iPhones and iPads work the same way. Androids work a little bit differently, but we support both up-to-date versions of iOS devices, which are the Apple devices, and the up-to-date Android devices. If I want to go ahead and set the permissions, let's go ahead and click Edit Album. And you see, here's our viewers or our recipients, identical to what I showed you before. Do I want the whole school to see it? I click All School. Do I want a classroom to see it? Do I want, we recognize that some parents are going to be very concerned about photos of their children on the web, so you select just the child's name and then only that parent can see it. What are some practical uses of sharing photos, some kind of best practices and ways that it can kind of help your school? This is a common question that we get. So any chance, if you don't have a concern about privacy to the extent where the parents have signed a photo release form or something to that effect, and you're comfortable sharing photos with the entire school community, that's generally speaking a good practice, because you can really showcase what some of the older students are doing. Maybe your kindergarten students are doing something interesting. Maybe your lower elementary classroom or your upper elementary classroom are doing something interesting. And making those photos available to parents of younger children is not a bad idea. It's actually kind of a nice passive means of marketing these more advanced programs. So if I'm a parent of a 4-year-old in the primary room, and I see in lower L they're doing some, really interesting project that's really impressive, and you got a nice portfolio of photos on here, I might look at that and say, wow, that's interesting. I want to learn a little bit more about lower L. So there's always going to be a drop-off at kindergarten and at first grade and so forth, and getting parents to continue to be impressed by Montessori, to be interested, to be just really impressed by what's going on in these other programs is a good thing. And using the photos as a means of very passively marketing these programs to them is definitely a good idea. What another thing you can do is to go ahead and, so this is an example of a classroom album, and you can make private albums. So what a lot of people do is they go ahead and they create an album for each child, and you set the viewers. So you see this, the viewers here are just Maria, so only her parents can see this album. And this is like a digital portfolio. You can make this available to them at the beginning of the school year and go ahead and add photos throughout the year, and they'll be able to see, interesting things at the end of the school year. They'll have a nice collection of shots that they can see that as their child's been progressing through the classroom, and that's always interesting to look back on. You can also not share this, add to it, and make this available in conjunction with a progress report. So maybe you have 2 progress reports each year, one in the fall semester, one in the spring semester, and you can make available a digital portfolio to accompany that progress report. So you can call your album whatever you want it to be. This could be the Maria Alvarez Digital Portfolio. And if I were to not share that, nobody can see it. It's completely private right now. I can continue to upload photos, and I could add captions and make it nice and detailed here. And then when the time comes I want to share this, maybe in conjunction with the progress report, I just simply add her name on here, and then her parents are able to view that. So there's a lot of flexible ways to use the photos to go ahead and meet your very specific needs. But it really does help in a variety of different ways. I think we had some other things in here I want to show. We talked about this. The notifications I wanted to share with you. So here I am looking at a parent site here, and you see the photos icon in the upper navigation here. You'll see that it says photos parentheses 13. So I'm alerting a parent that there are 13 new images that are available to them that they have yet to view. And when they click on the individual photo albums, they see another notification here that indicates which one. There might be 20 different albums in here, and you can very clearly see the photos that are available to them. So let me go ahead back into this, and I want to share with you the idea of how to go ahead and use this. Let me go ahead and, Nita, can you give me a hand for a second here?
Sure.
Sorry, I need to just go ahead and, yeah. Yeah, could you do that for me, and then I'll share them this part here. I just can't remember what the password was for this.
One second. Okay.
All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go back to the main MontessoriCompass.com page here.
Yeah.
And, okay. All right, so I'm at MontessoriCompass.com. Now, somebody had asked earlier today about having a link on their website, and you can contact us directly. There's a couple ways to do that. We do have some nice icons that you can use, and we'll send those to you. But basically what you want to do is get them to come to this login page here. You can also, for anyone that's technical in nature, you can iframe this into your site. So this login box is made available exclusively on your page. You can, again, contact us about that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log in as a parent here. So I'm going to log in as, oh, okay, it's the wrong password. All right, I'm going to log in as a parent just to give you a sense for the actual experience for the parents. All right, so now I'm logged in as a parent, and this is what I see. This is my parent portal. You notice that there's no daily dashboard, there's no record keeping, there's no list of students, there's nothing unless it's related to one of my kids here at your school. So if I'm a parent of 3 children at your school in 3 different classrooms, I would see any information that's associated with those 3 children and their respective classrooms. And that includes the messaging, the calendar, the photos, and so forth. So here's all my upcoming events here. I can see that there's a lesson about the stamp game. There's a geography lesson. I can get more information on those if that's made available to me. Notice that it has a link, so it's indicating that there's something else in there. You notice over here where it says Practical Life Gardening, there is no link. So if there's no more information, I don't need to click on it. Pizza lunch, there's more information. Don't pack for lunch today. It's on us. So you can write nice little event descriptions or captions for your events. I'm going to go into the photos, and you can see what I was telling you, where there's a notification that there's some new photos in there. If I go ahead and click on this, now it assumes that I have seen the photos, and if I click back, that icon is now gone. So as soon as the parents consume any of this information, you can go ahead and any sort of notifications are removed. If I have new messages, there will be an icon up top letting me know that there's a new message. It would display newer messages right here on my home page. What we always suggest is that you go ahead and create a demo parent account. Just create a parent user, find an email address to use, and experience that. You can a neat trick to have it go to you. So if your email address is rob@yourschool.com, you can do a trick by using a plus and a 1. So you can put rob+1@yourschool.com, and they'll actually go to your email address as well, and it'll count as a new email. Every email in the system has to be unique because that's the username to log in to Montessori Compass. So if I'm already using rob@yourschool.com for an administrator account, I can just use rob+1 or rob+2, rob+3, and so forth, and create demo parents, and go ahead and see what it feels like to go ahead and be a parent in here, to see what they experience, get the idea of how messages are dispersed and how progress reports look, and photos, and so forth. So this is how a parent would go ahead and interact with the system here. Nita, was there anything else I need to go over? I think we're getting close to time here. I think we'll put it back on over to Tim. Tim, do you want to kind of wrap things up?
Well, there are a few more questions I'd like to throw by you. One thing that people are asking is if parents are allowed to talk to each other, will the administrator be able to read those messages? My assumption is no, but tell me, can they?
Yeah, that would be something where that would be a definite no. So it has to be something that you're comfortable with. Your parents are going to communicate with each other anyway. They're going to, like Tim mentioned, the parking lot mafia. If somebody is going to be a disruptive force in your school, they're going to be a disruptive force in your school no matter what you do. But there's a lot of benefits to letting parents communicate. Like I mentioned, the idea of building a community and, hey, we're planning a new school fundraiser, or we're, have the PTO meeting and we want to communicate. This is a nice way to do it. If they don't do it within Montessori Compass, they're just going to meet in the parking lot, or they're going to go ahead and gather up emails and phone numbers, and they're going to communicate that way. So it fosters a real sense of community without sharing private information. The school does have some semblance of control because they're communicating through Montessori Compass as opposed through outside means. So you just have to weigh the benefits of that. Some schools absolutely love the idea of parents communicating directly, and other schools that kind of makes them uneasy. So it's really a personal preference. You know your school a lot better than I do, and so our job is to make tools available to you, and you choose to use them as you see fit. One other thing I'll say is that it can be a time saver. So I'm sure for schools that don't enable, some sort of a directory or means of parents more easily communicating with each other, the parents are going to go to the teachers and say, hey, I want to invite, these 6 kids to the birthday party. Can you pass these invitations out, or can you put them in a folder for me? Or, I need to do a PTO meeting. Can I get this? Can I get that? So if you look at the amount of time that your staff might spend over the course of a year answering those types of questions, perhaps this is a real time saver for you. So again, it's whatever works best for your school.
I have another question about whether or not you can set up a control that the administrator automatically gets a copy of any message that's sent by default, instead of relying on the teacher to copy them.
No. Okay, so there is one way to do that, but only through group messaging. So if I'm a teacher, for example, and I'm sending out a message to a specific parent, or I use the student's name, it's not going to go out. It's not going to be CC'd to me unless I actually put their name on it. However, if I go ahead and I use a classroom name, or certainly if I do all school, it's going to come to me. So I'm going to see messages that are sent out to groups. What you'll want to do as a classroom, at the classroom level, is to go back into the administrator side here, is to go into classrooms. And so I'll go into my upper elementary classroom. I click Edit Classroom Profile, and I don't have any teachers in here yet. So let's say that Marlene is the teacher that's in this classroom in upper L. But here's me. I'm Rob, the administrator. I want to just add myself to this classroom. So now what I have done is I've added myself in here as we're calling it a teacher, but I'm an administrator. I'm just adding myself to this classroom as a teacher. And what that means is any communication that Marlene sends out to her parents, I'm going to get. Now, that's not individual parents. That will be group. So if Marlene sends out a group message and she selects upper elementary classroom and puts something on the calendar or posts something, in messaging, it's going to go out to me as well. But if Marlene sends out an individual message, I will not get it unless I am CC'd. So again, it comes down to really, just that, you need to set the policy for how things are to be used and put these things in place. It's very easy to add a school administrator to the messaging, and you need to, entrust your teachers with that responsibility. If you don't wish to do that, then you simply turn it off, and you need to have school administrator approval to go ahead and send out messaging.
There you go. A couple of other questions. One is, can the calendar in Montessori Compass be synced to a Google Calendar?
That, Tim, is probably the most common question that we get with people. I would not bother to wake up in the morning if I did not have Google Calendar telling me what to do, because I would be a lost soul. So I very much understand and respect the Google Calendar aficionados out there, because I am very much of that as well. At this time, the calendar does not sync. We plan to make it sync at some point in the future. We don't have a date on that. It's a little bit more complicated the way our calendar is structured. But right now, it is an internal calendar within Montessori Compass.
Thanks, Rob. That's a good answer. Some other folks have asked, can we upload a PDF of our school calendar and our newsletter? Well, I know that they can. I don't know why they'd want to upload a school calendar since there's a calendar built into Montessori Compass, but that's one of the options, as I recall, that they can do that, right?
So as far as uploading files, you're able to upload photos. We showed you that. You can go into messaging, and you can send out anything you want. If you want to send out a PDF newsletter, a PDF calendar, a Word doc, an Excel spreadsheet, a PowerPoint, or any sort of a file that you want to send out through Montessori Compass, again, very similar to email, you would attach it to the message and send it out. So that would be the best way to go ahead and do that. I understand that people have their own calendars, and there's paper calendars, and there's calendars that are on your website, and you're using Google Calendar, and I understand all of that, and it's personal preference. You use whatever you see fit. I will just encourage you to give some consideration to what as a software developer, we oftentimes use the term user experience. So our goal here is to make the user experience as positive as possible and as user-friendly as possible. And one of those ways of having a centralized parent portal is to keep everything in one place. And by using this calendar here, it's dynamic. It's always up to date. If my staff meeting gets changed from Thursday to Friday, it's changed in, seconds flat. It's all in real time. I always know what's going on. By continuing with, paper calendars or PDFs and those sorts, first off, you have to create those documents. So that's, there's time being invested into that. And then you would need to do it in here too if you're going to use it, or you're going to have a blank calendar here, which could draw confusion with parents. And then they're going to have a PDF, which maybe you emailed to them, maybe you printed that out. I gave the example. The truth is, as a parent of 4 kids, the minivan chauffeur, piece of paper ends up in my car. Very, very slim chances it's going to survive for very long. When you get rid of all the food and junk and toys and nonsense in the car, it's it's a really good idea to really strongly consider the idea of a centralized parent portal that is self-contained and has everything that a parent would want to know in one spot. And I used the word dynamic, meaning it's always up to date in real time.
Rob, another question's been asked is, can we do videos as well as photos?
We do not host videos right now. We are evaluating solutions for that. That is something that people will ask for. At this time, I would send out, if you want to post something to YouTube or Vimeo or any other video service, you can certainly do that, and you can simply include a link right here. So if I have a neat video of students and they're practicing a holiday performance, and I want to go ahead and send that out to everybody, I would simply post that to YouTube or somewhere, send out the link through Montessori Compass, and then they can watch it that way. We do have something in curriculum, which that's a much different topic here, but where we make available photos and parent-friendly descriptions of lessons and materials in our scope and sequence. We do not automatically include videos. However, you do have the ability to post those, and this is kind of more geared on the parent education. So if I were to click on sandpaper numerals here, you see that I have an action shot of a child who's working with a guide in the classroom with this material. So we're supplying you with a lot of these nice action shots here. If I were to click edit, I can go ahead and post a video in here. At this point, we do not support YouTube. We only support Vimeo, which you can check out and get an account with. And you would be able to go ahead and post a video of a child who's working with this specific lesson or material. We have a school that has used this, and it's something that you're able to use and kind of use for your parent education. This is something that would be shared via our progress reports or our activity reports, which we'll be talking about in more detail next week. But that would be the extent of the video option. So if it's just kind of general classroom activity or events, post it on YouTube or somewhere and send out the link in messaging, and that would be the easiest way to do that.
Good. Last question that I can see is, can the photos that are uploaded be downloaded later?
So you can download photos at any time. I'll go into my photo section here. So the parents get this slideshow that they scroll through, and they see something that, I like this photo, I want to download it, or I want to print it out, or I want to put it on a coffee mug for Grandma for Mother's Day, or whatever I want to do. I click Download Original. You see the photo's going to increase in size because they're a little bit smaller in the system, but this is the original photo. I would then right-click in my browser, Save Image As, and that's going to save it to my desktop. And then that will now become available for you. And it's on your desktop, and you can do anything you want with it. You cannot currently save in bulk. You need to save them on an individual basis.
A couple of other last questions, Rob. One is, how about drag and drop on a tablet?
So a tablet is a mobile device. We support iOS, which is iPads and iPhones, and we support Android, the current versions of Android. Android, just so you know, is a very big platform that's very fragmented, and there's about a bazillion different Android devices out there, and they are not all equal because Google enables manufacturers to go ahead and mess around with Android and do different things with it. So therefore, we support the most up-to-date versions of Android. With both of those mobile devices, you cannot drag and drop. You can't do that anywhere. It's not a Montessori Compass issue. It's a mobile operating system issue, and you need to add them one at a time. So you can. Until recently, you weren't able to do that on iOS at all. Apple released a new version back last fall, which enabled you to do that. But prior to that, you were not able to upload at all. So in any case, for anyone that has an older iPad and has not updated yet, you'll need to make sure you're using the current version of iOS, which would be a free upgrade from Apple. Generally speaking, by the way, you always want to make sure you have an up-to-date browser. We're using some very modern web technologies here, and it's not going to work very well in any older browser. One of the most common browsers that we have trouble with is Internet Explorer, Microsoft, anyone who's using a Windows PC. We have, just make sure you're upgraded to, it's always a free upgrade. We support Internet Explorer, Firefox, Chrome, Safari, and then iOS and Android. Make sure you have just whatever the latest upgrade is. Download it for free and get the upgrade. Generally speaking, my personal favorite browser, someone who lives on the internet all day long, is Chrome from Google. It's on every device out there, PCs and Macs and, Apple products and, Android devices and so forth. And it's just a fabulous browser and works very well and auto updates for you, and so you always have the latest thing.
So we're getting more technical questions like, when sharing photos, can you exclude certain photos from a class for inclusion? And I assume that you can. You can decide which ones you're going to share, right?
So yeah, it's all based on the permissions. So if I go into Edit Album, if I just want my primary classroom to see it, I choose that. If I want my toddler program to see it, I select that. I can multi-select. Maybe I want my toddler and I want my infant program to see these photos. I can, it's whoever you want to be able to see something. Exactly the same as messaging, exactly the same as calendar. It all works identical.
Mm-hmm. I think, let me just check, I think we may be just about done. I think it makes it feel like we are trusting and welcoming of parents is what Leanne Lutz has to say. And I assume what she's saying is that it feels like this means a communication and allowing parents to talk to each other. That it gives people a sense that they're trusted. General reminder about the Google syncing. I hope, Sonia, Jane, that you saw that Rob responded to that. And I think Sue Wagner and Karen Marchesi ended by saying, thank you, this looks like a really good solution. We see a sample of the Vimeo video. Diana, you asked that question. What you want to do is go to Vimeo as a website, and you'll want to read about it and learn about it. It's a standard thing like YouTube. And Rob, you may have something to share with us about why you use Vimeo instead of YouTube.
There's no real reason to use this versus YouTube. I mean, YouTube is the biggest, video platform out there. They both have privacy controls. Vimeo might be a little bit more clean. It's not, not going to have ads and things like that. So just evaluate both of them. The reason we chose Vimeo is just because it's a different platform, and that's the one we chose initially. They're not all the same. They require different types of programming. I don't want to get too geeky on you here, but we plan to have YouTube support as well. But for now, we have Vimeo, and open up an account, and you'll like Vimeo. It'll, if you share lots of photos or lots of videos, you'll like it. It works great, and you won't have any trouble with it.
Good. I've been reminded by Peg Everts to ask about Schoolcast. Schoolcast is a tool that they use at Peg School to mass alert people about things, whether it's an ice storm or some kind of threat or just a reminder. And I know that at the moment you don't have anything that actually goes beyond the built-in email and the login system, right? It doesn't send out text messages. It doesn't call their phone. Nothing like that.
Right. We don't have anything like that now. We are evaluating some things that we might be able to do via text message in the future. We're aware of that technology, and we're considering those types of things. Honestly, this has really been an organic process. I know we're at the end, and if anyone needs to drop off, I don't want to chew your ear off any more than you need to, but just while I still have your attention, this is a family business. I'm a Montessori father. My wife and I have 4 kids, and we've been at this for 6 years. And very early on in our process with our school, we got real interested in Montessori, and we happened to be software geeks at the same time, and started kind of working and trying to figure out ways to solve problems. And so this continues to grow and improve, and we want to hear your feedback on ways that we can make it even more useful. We're trying to solve a lot of problems here in terms of the types of common issues that Montessori schools are facing, and with parent communication and record keeping and progress reports and administration and so forth. So there's a lot of things. I think you'll find as you evaluate other solutions that are available to the international Montessori community, I think you'll find that Montessori Compass is pretty comprehensive. We offer a lot. We do not have everything. There is no silver bullet that will solve every single problem, but we really have made an effort to really offer a lot of different tools in here. First and foremost, what we are is a record-keeping system in the classroom. That's our number one objective, is to be the most easy-to-use record-keeping system, because everything that I've showed you today is worthless unless teachers are using this in the classroom to document records and putting in good data. You have to feed the system with good data to make any of these parent communication tools and anything else relevant and worth doing. So that's really been our goal, and of course now we have the scope and sequence and the standard alignment and these other things to kind of build around the academic side, the classroom management side, and all the features, all these other features, but the parent communication kind of are built upon the classroom management. So we aspire, we have a lot of ideas here, a lot of things that we aspire to do. The Google Calendar Sync is an example of something that a lot of people want. Signing up for events like parent-teacher conferences and things like that are something that a lot of people ask for. These are the types of things we want to hear your feedback, and the more that we hear that people want certain things, the more likely we are to go ahead and invest into developing those things. So we really are actively developing this. It's always improving. It's a very organic, it's almost a living, breathing entity here. But it's always getting better, and we very much want to hear your feedback on ways we can make it even more useful to you.
Thank you, Rob. So that's a good place to wrap up. First of all, I want to thank all of you. We're down to 61 still online at the moment. It's midnight in Sri Lanka. We just lost one of our people there. We've got people all over the world that are participating. The bottom line is that in my judgment, president of the Montessori Foundation and my staffs, we feel this is not simply another simple tool. There have been record-keeping systems out there for some time. Some of you may have tried them. We find that this is incredibly important to do. People have to have good records. They have to communicate with parents. Having good data demands a couple of things. One, you can't just have a container. You've got to have a strong scope and sequence, and the scope and sequences that we've been seeing are not well refined. They have holes in them all over the place, and they're not aligned to the Common Core standards, which isn't an issue if you're outside of the United States, but is a big issue here. And it also is software that can be aligned by you if you need to a national curriculum in another country. More importantly, this thing is user-friendly, and that's why we got involved. Really, the story is simple. We get approached by people like Rob and Anita every single week. People trying to convince us to get behind something or another. Anything that comes along we'll look at. Most of it we very politely say, gee, that's lovely, good luck. The difference here was Rob and Anita had a product that we felt was very differently designed than anyone else, and when we started making suggestions, instead of getting resistant, they really listened. Not that everyone else that has done this doesn't care, but as I was told by one of the major developers some years ago, we've got too much money invested in our software, and it would cost a freaking fortune to undo it. We can't redesign it without losing everything. Happens to be that we were able to find a company that was starting off that not only was willing to listen, but they designed it around software that is much more readily modifiable. And they weren't just programmers. Dr. Anita Amos is a major player in understanding curriculum assessment, curriculum development, and setting this thing up so you end up with really good data. Lastly, one of the things that got us interested, and hopefully will get you interested too, is that we're planning to do a harvesting of anonymous data over the years ahead that can be used for serious Montessori research. What we're looking for is the kinds of answers to questions of when do children hit common, very formally written objectives of learning? When do they show certain behaviors? When do they meet National Common Core standards? We've already got thousands of children doing this now. As that number grows and we get years of data, we will be able to really have peer-reviewed research that will be significant. So we're very, very pleased, and we hope that you are too. This is not just any product that we would get involved with and allow to use our software, use our curriculum, get our name and endorsement behind it. This is something that we feel is truly significant. So we hope that you find it the same. And thanks so much for being with us. I'll be ending the recording now and converting it. And as soon as it's uploaded, I will send you all a YouTube link to the link to this this webinar and the previous two that have occurred. Reminder that we will be holding our next webinar next Tuesday, same time, same place, 1 o'clock Eastern United States time, Greenwich Mean Time plus 5 hours. And that will be the continuation of what we started this week, which is how to use Montessori Compass for parent communication. There's a lot more to tell you. So thanks, everybody. I hope you found it useful, and hopefully we will see you next week. Good night.